What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rising Podcast. I'm Xavier, and I'm joined here with Cabria and Cayman.
What it is.
It's Black History Month, so let's just jump straight into it. Cabria, you want to start us off with your Black person of the day?
Of course, let me go first, you feel me? So, I chose Dorothy Irene Height. She's known as the godmother of the Civil Rights Movement. The reason I chose her, and I would like to focus on her story, is because she's the first person in the movement to actually merge the African American struggle with the women's struggle.
Okay.
Yep. And with that being said, I think her story is just something that more people need to know about, learn about. She should be in the history books. She was born March 24th. Yep, in Virginia. She moved and grew up in Pennsylvania. She went to New York University, and she graduated with her bachelor's in education. She went on to get her master's in psychology. And during college, this is when she started with her activism. She started with the Young Women's Christian Association. And that's really where she got her roots in activism. And she started focusing more on the Black community, looking to invest in Black women business, looking to protest against the lynchings, looking to get more Black people their voting rights in the South. But one of the biggest things that she also did was help organize the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. You feel me? With that being said, no women were permitted to speak, but she was able to convince them to allow one woman to present. And also during the march, as the men were marching down Pennsylvania Avenue, she had women marching down the Independence Avenue. And I thought that was really cool, just because when we hear about civil rights leaders, they're usually men. And I think women played, and as you can tell from her story, did play a major part. Women stories are important, and especially Black women. In addition to helping organize the march and, influence a lot of Black leaders, she was the president for the National Council of Negro Women, and she just worked a lot with the actual president to help counsel them and guide them with dealing with Black issues. So some presidents that she worked with was Lyndon B. Johnson, and then before him, Eisenhower, and she actually worked with Eleanor Roosevelt just to help with the Black struggle. So I just think her story is something that needs to be told more. I think a lot of Black women need to understand that there wasn't just Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. There wasn't just Fred Hampton. There was, Black women who were out there making changes and pushing these men. But at the same time, just to highlight the sexism that was found in the civil rights movement at the time. And I think it's kind of ironic and hypocritical, because you're fighting for rights for one people, you need to fight for rights for those other people who belong in that group. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because when you said one of the ones that, a Black woman in the women's movement and the civil rights movement, when I went back and read about the women's movement, it was kind of like white women were the pioneers of that first. And in order to, get their stuff passed, you got to surpass what's going on with Black people. So it's important that we had women and a Black woman, at that forefront doing stuff for the community, because it was I know it was crazy back then, and it was just like everybody was like me first, women, Blacks, any type of minority, this country was all effed up, so it was like people were just fighting for their rights, and we needed to come together, it didn't just need to be Black people, it didn't just need to be women, it needed to be together,
right?
And who's the common denominator in that? Black women. And Black women have always been the foundation of the Black community. So
and it's now to that.
Yeah, I mean,
literally give life.
Honestly,
to Black men.
Exactly. Give life to the Black men that we look up to and that we have reverence for all the time. So why are those people not mentioned just as much as the others? So That was a good little find.
Yeah,
I
okay.
see that.
A little
Okay.
nervous. Have to look at my notes, but you feel me? It was really interesting, and I'm glad that you brought up the fact that the feminist movement was dominated by white women, because that's also an issue that black women had, well, black feminists had, because in that movement they're facing racism, and then in their own movement with their people, they're facing sexism. So I thought it was important to highlight the fact that she was able to merge the two and bring that to the front of the movement, and just to have people more aware of that, because I think we often forget that the civil rights movement was sexist, and a lot of black women who were just as great speakers didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, because you shouldn't have to make that choice between, like, am I going to be a woman first or am I going to be a black first? I mean,
Yeah.
But, women always carrying the torch then and now, just like black women leading the charge to get this man Trump out of there.
Shit.
It's just time that we start giving them the recognition that they deserve, honestly.
Facts.
So who's your guy? Who's your gal?
I'll tell you right now, it's not a gal, but
Oh.
it should have been. I should have went with Angela Davis or something now. But
Honestly, hey. Next week we may do all black women. How about we do that?
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I'm down.
Shit.
All right, yeah.
I was
All right,
almost at
cool.
Angela Davis, because I have a list of other black women. You feel me? Because as I was looking up her story, I came across Fannie Lou Hamer.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm talking about her next week, honestly, because when I learned about her story in college, that was just crazy how much work she put in for the civil rights movement, getting people registered to vote, getting black people out there to realize the power is in the ballot. We got to get organized.
Respect.
Yep.
Yeah. Who did you choose?
All right, so for my guy, I'm going with Kwame Treve, a.k.a. Stokely Carmichael. So in 1964, he became one of the youngest activists to be jailed for his participation in the Freedom Rides. He graduated from Howard in 64 with his degree in philosophy. Okay. From then on, he really just remained heavy in the community. He went to a county in Alabama, which was 80% black at the time. Mm-hmm. But although they were 80% black, they only had one registered black voter. Damn. And then with this help, in under a year, they were able to get the number of black voters to over 300, actually surpassing the white people. And then in 1970, that one original black voter actually ended up being elected the sheriff of that town. Boom. So the votes really matter. If that's any other way to paint it, your vote really matters.
Organized vote.
Organized vote.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly what you said.
Flashback to 1966.
Okay.
He's the leader of the SNCC, and he's doing this March Against Fear. It is there that he coined the term Black Power. Ooh. And that's kind of why I just want to take a pause real quick. Okay. And I kind of just want to give you guys, because I have his definition of what he defined as Black Power. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys really, when you hear Black Power, what do you think of?
When I hear Black Power, I think, I feel like it's a philosophy that black people would need to live by in America to realize the beauty of where they came, the beauty of where they are and where they have to go, and just making sure that they get the means to get to that goal. So when I think Black Power, I think of the economic that black people have to really be free. I think of the mental freedom that people need to achieve. I also think of spiritual freedom, not associating with this society that was anti-black, but just being like, just to embrace who you are and your people, and to always look to unite and move forward.
When you say Black Power, you said that was 1966?
Yeah, he coined the phrase in 1966.
And he was probably saying that before that. So just think about the 60s. Just think about what was going on in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So when you say a phrase like Black Power, when you're constantly discriminated, when you're constantly getting beaten, when you're constantly saying that you're not nothing, when you can't even drink from the same water fountain as a white person, don't you think you need that morale boost to say, oh, Black Power, like you're worth something, you know?
Shit.
When somebody has a fist up, when somebody says Black Power, that's a feeling of empowerment for black people, you know? Mm-hmm. It's nothing that's saying that we're better than anybody. It's nothing that's saying that we're just alpha or nothing. It's just saying we have to empower ourselves to feel like we are something, you know?
Wow.
And that's what I feel like Black Power means, is we're something, you know? We're something in this world. Like, thinking about what went on in the 60s, thinking about all the stuff that we had to fight for, thinking about the years prior to the 60s, thinking about the years now, we have to say Black Power. I mean, we have to say Black Power because we don't have anything else but each other, and that's we gotta come together as a community. We have to organize, and we have to say, hey, we're important and we're here. So that's what Black Power means to me.
All right, respect. So in 1968, he released a book with Charles V. Hamilton titled Black Power, The Politics of Liberation. So there he not actually coined, but defined it. And he defines it as a call for black people in this country to unite, to recognize their heritage, to build a sense of community.
Okay.
It is a call for black people to define their own goals, to lead their own organizations. And I was like, that's exactly what I would get from it. I feel like Black Power, as Kwame was saying, is like a term of endearment, like a word for empowerment. And I feel like with Black Power comes along that people being able to free themselves, like giving them the resources where they can go about and free themselves, self-liberation, so to speak.
Right.
That's what I get from Black Power.
Okay.
Also in that book, they coined the phrase institutional racism.
Oof.
So low-key, they was going off.
Shit.
Low-key. But
Right.
That's my dude, Stokely.
Nice.
All right, so I picked somebody everybody knows. Everybody knows the quote, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Whoop, whoop. Migos know it too.
Hey, honestly, we all know Mr. Cassius Clay himself, Muhammad Ali. I wanted to dig deeper into his story because I feel like there's a misconception these days, especially with the athlete. Like, we all love LeBron. We love what he does for the community. We love the charity he gives. But there's a difference between I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to do nothing until my people are in a position in America where we can be free, where we cannot be discriminated, where we cannot, like, giving up that check, because the 60s compared to now might not be a lot of money to some people, but just think about how much money you was making boxing in the 60s as an athlete in the 60s. Like, these people got $200, $300, $400 million contracts. Like Charles Barkley said, if I was playing today, I'd be going to the games in a spaceship. That's how much money he thinks he would be making if he was playing in today's game. So just imagine Muhammad Ali in today and how much money he would be making. So okay, let's just say Floyd Mayweather, he's a billionaire. Floyd Mayweather, he makes how much? Like, we didn't just watch, but how long ago was this? The Conor McGregor shit? Maybe 2-3 years ago?
Like 3 years, I think.
Wow.
How much did they make a piece? Maybe he was like 500 million for that fight.
Man.
So just think about Floyd Mayweather saying, hey, no more money. I'm stopping for my people. And that's
Shit. I don't think he's,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. This is the correlation between maybe a LeBron James, maybe a Colin Kaepernick, who have did so much for the black community. Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his job for the black community and for the cause. But Muhammad Ali, they wanted him to go to Vietnam. What did he say? He says, honestly, that's what he said. Basically. He says, why would I go to a war and fight him when you're not even taking care of me in this country? Why would I go to another war and fight somebody else that I ain't got no problem with, and y'all not even doing nothing to me?
Right.
And that impact of that, having the Cleveland Summit in, I believe, 1967 or 68 with Kareem, with Jim Brown, with Muhammad Ali, they're all there. Some of our athletes that are taking the stand and say, we stand with Muhammad Ali and we're not going to play until justice is served, Right. He got stripped of his heavyweight title, thrown in jail. Like, Muhammad Ali is the real deal. And for him to go through all that and still be one of the greatest in-ring boxers that we've ever seen.
And prettiest.
Can't forget that. Look.
For real. That we've ever seen in our life. I just feel like he just needs to be mentioned. And I just wanted to start off. The first person I honor, because I'm a sports junkie. I love sports. I love watching docs. I love just learning about all sports before, after, whatever's going on. Present day. So Muhammad Ali is one of those people that sacrifice a lot, and his imprint and legacy is just renowned, and that's just somebody you have a deep reverence for, because all the shit they laid down. So what can I do if he laid down all that?
Right.
What can I do to help the cause? What can I do to move the people forward? So that was my guy. So with me talking about Muhammad Ali, I told y'all to watch a movie.
Sure did.
One Night in Miami. Directed by Miss Regina King. She's a genius. She got the Boondocks. She
Oop.
was in Friday.
Shoot.
She was in a lot of other stuff. I think.
Yeah,
What's that
scary
movie with Martin? Scared. What? But what's that movie with Martin?
Blue Streak.
Not Blue String. You know what I'm talking about?
Wait. Is that her?
Love don't cost. It's not love don't cost a thing. It's
the one where he got transported back to like medieval times and he was like a knight and shit.
No, nigga. No.
Oh shit.
No.
I don't know. I'm thinking
What's
about
the movie? What. The one when he was the player and then, bruh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Losing us.
Anyway. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm hella off
next
topic.
point.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The great Regina King directed this movie.
Right.
Muhammad Ali,
Uh-huh.
Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and the great Malcolm X.
Yes, sir.
I just want both of you guys to say what your first impressions of the movie were. I want us to do a little deep dive.
A deep dive
into the movie, but just give me your first impressions first, how you thought the movie was, stuff like that.
I mean,
So we're starting about One Night in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paying attention. So I would like to start off One Night in Miami. The music, just start off. The music was like excellent. Like I was vibing off bat. I was vibing.
Shit.
And who did they start off with? They started off with
Muhammad Ali losing, right? And
Getting knocked out.
Or he didn't lose.
Yeah, they said he won the fight.
He just because I guess boxing is like how many hits you hit.
So they
like
start off. They get you immersed.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
Like you deep in and you like, huh?
He losing?
Like,
What?
I'm like, Muhammad got knocked out.
Right.
But he ain't even Muhammad yet. He clashes, but we'll get there.
Cashes.
Yeah.
Clashes. But honestly, I really like the movie.
Yeah.
I actually want to watch it again.
I actually have to watch it twice. Yeah, just to prepare for the podcast because the first time you watch it, it's a little shock because you're like not expecting that story to be told the way it's told, not expecting the emotions. But when you watch it again, you dive deeper and you kind of see the connections and just how important that one night in Miami was. And it makes you think about just how beautiful that is and how it impacted, Black history.
So, what I really took away from this movie, I mean, the first part with Jim Brown, that part right there, it felt like you can go, this is from the 60s, this is from the 1800s, this is in 2021. And it's in a way right now where, they don't let you in corporate America. You got Jim Brown, you got I don't know if he was a GM, he was the owner of the team, the Browns team. I don't know who this white man was. But you see it was a daughter first, right?
Yeah.
Hi Jim, how you doing? Yeah. They go outside. Oh yeah. And then he's talking to the guy. Oh, we appreciate you. I mean, you mean so much. If your family needs anything, I got you.
Right.
And they will you in.
Way back.
Families go way back. You will them in. Then Brett got to go in the house to fix his car in the back. And Jim's like, I'll help you. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't let niggas in the house.
And you could see the look of disbelief on that man's face.
You can see the look.
Like,
because you just had a conversation, just big conversation, and it's acting like we're equals. And then all of a sudden, I'm not even allowed in your house.
Right.
And I feel like that can be corporate America when, we'll will you on. Oh, we'll sign you to these record deals. Oh, we'll do this. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed into the fraternity. Why is there only one black owner in the NBA when 75% of the players are black? But the only owner in the NBA is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the greatest basketball player that's ever played. But there's only one. That's the only black owner.
Wow.
The rest of the 29 owners are white. NFL, same thing. So we'll let you play for us.
Right.
We'll let you do everything, but you cannot enter this house. You cannot enter the house of the elites. You know what I'm saying? So that part really got me. And I mean, we had this conversation before about your boy Malcolm. Now let me say this before you start fighting me. Let me say this.
Coming from my boy Malcolm, because my favorite scene, I can talk about that later.
But let me see this. Let me say this before. Me, nobody can have a real problem with Malcolm X. We just having a lightweight fun right now.
Facts.
But why was Malcolm X a party pooper?
Square bear, bro.
Square bear.
Square bear.
Man
popped out with vanilla ice cream. I couldn't even get no Rocky Road.
I mean,
no mint chip.
For real.
Nothing. 2 things of ice cream, no chips.
Shit.
What did he say? He thought it was appropriate for his guests.
man, bringing the feds and stuff like around us. Like, what we trying to celebrate the fight and everything.
Yeah, you're
like,
partying with a rock star, NFL player, and a professional boxer, bruh.
Don't
He
forget
popped
they're
out.
in the presence of Malcolm too. Come on.
where are the bitches?
But they just. That's what Jim Brown says at the beginning. He's like,
exactly.
I'm
I'm trying to.
trying to get some. I'm trying. Can we say that?
And he said with a white woman too. That's did he say that?
He said.
Yeah,
That's why he was like, I couldn't go the full brotherhood because he's like, I like white women. I mean, it's like, at least he was honest about it.
At least he was honest
Yeah,
about it. But
honest about
Which-
it. That's
what-
interesting.
what do you have to say about your man's?
Well, first of all, from the beginning of the movie, it kind of showed the position that Malcolm was in.
Mm-hmm.
Him leaving the brotherhood, him being shunned, him not be able to speak on things that were important to him realizing what was going on, what was really going on. So with that being said, I don't think Malcolm was in the mood to party and to celebrate because he was going through shit. He seen shit and he realized how important everybody in that room was
Exactly.
to the
The
black
shit was-
movement.
yeah.
To the point where if it wasn't for Malcolm to speak up and say things, would people really be where they were?
Yeah.
Everyone in that movie.
Cause yeah, we were joking and stuff. Oh yeah, but ish was serious at that
Yeah.
moment, especially for Malcolm X. Like you got
Facts.
the feds breathing behind your back. Like
It's that one dude working with them
Yeah.
in the movie,
Yeah.
that shit
That was
threw
some
me
sneaky
off. And he's like, "Oh, he's following us." And then Sam Goode over like, "You're tripping." He's like, "I know when I'm being followed." He did come out really paranoid. I would say that, but the fact that when he looked and he saw his bodyguard talking to him, that shit had me shook.
yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
we'll
Oh,
talk about
excuse
we'll talk about inside information
Yeah.
a little bit later.
Like, just especially
With-
the way like the bodyguard was just like communicating with him the whole time. That
Mm-hmm.
deep ass hug in the beginning. Like that bring me back to the next movie we're gonna talk about. Where it's like it really sometimes be the niggas right under your
Exactly.
Right.
chin.
Yeah, so the position that Malcolm was in, this is what I loved about the movie so much. That position and what he had to say to the other three was like so important, and he's foreshadowing his own death at that moment. You know, he was saying stuff like, "I don't know how long I'm gonna be here" and stuff like that. I need to start writing about my life. He was saying that to them.
Yeah,
and
and
they're not even knowing what's gonna go on. You know, they don't even know what's gonna go on, and I feel like it was just it's crazy what they did to our leaders. I mean, at that time, what they
Right.
do to them now.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think about it?
I feel like just to piggyback off the white man in the beginning. I feel like that scene with Jim Brown kind of really set the tone for. I don't really want to say how his character like was developed throughout the movie, but kind of like how they portrayed him in a sense. Like from that point on, he kind of had that mentality of like, I don't know if I'm fully invested, so to speak, and like willing to give up my career and all, but like at the same time, like no matter how much money I have, no matter how famous I am, like at the end of the day, I'm still black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This man can tell me how much he appreciates me, how much he loves to be in my presence, but I
Right.
still can't walk into his house.
And he still doesn't fully accept me and respect
It's
me
just
as a
crazy.
human.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It just puts a lot of things in perspective, I feel like.
And that's interesting that you brought that up because with his character, I think one of the most powerful scenes, there was a lot, but one of my favorite scenes was when Malcolm and Jim are in the room alone. And Jim Brown's like, "We are not anyone's weapons." And Malcolm replied, "But you need to be so we can win." And I think that just speaks to just black people. Like, I'm pretty sure you all are familiar with that pressure you feel when you go to work, when you go to school. It's not just you trying to succeed, it's you're trying to succeed for your people. You're trying to be that image. You're realizing, even though your actions are your own, a lot of people see that as actions of our people.
Yep.
And so to be in positions where you can actually make a statement like Jim Brown, like Sam Cooke, like Muhammad Ali, I think that's important. But they also had a lot to lose, and they were still able to make those statements. But imagine us, which we do. You know, we never know. We're young. We could have a lot to lose. But just the fact that they were willing to make that sacrifice, but also the fact that my boy Malcolm put that pressure on them, I think that was important.
He really applied some pressure.
Yeah, he was not playing.
Some real pressure.
He was,
So
and
Like, Sam Cooke folded like,
go into your
shit.
question about
Oh yeah.
Muhammad and
Oh,
Malcolm
yeah.
and
Okay, so in the beginning of the movie, not even really a spoiler, but in the beginning of the movie, you can sense like there's some tension with Malcolm and him and his wife are talking about like a plan. I'm like,
Right.
okay, what is this nigga plotting? Like, what's going on? And then once the movie starts to develop, you realize that this is before Muhammad Ali becomes Muhammad Ali. So he's going through the stages of becoming a Muslim.
Yeah.
So knowing his relationship with Elijah Muhammad and his falling out with the party,
Yeah.
do you feel like, not the party, but the Brotherhood, do you feel like he, in a way, was intentionally using Cassius Clay to further his own organization?
You want me to go first?
You can go first.
I don't think he was thinking that far ahead to that. I think that Malcolm was going to lay everything out on the table to Muhammad Ali. This is the Nation of Islam. This is Elijah Muhammad. This is what they represent. This is how we do things. And you saw the tension between the Nation and Malcolm X at the time. So I necessarily don't feel like he was trying to use him for that. I just think that Malcolm was under an immense amount of pressure from his own following, because necessarily the people that followed Malcolm X were not necessarily Muslims. They were people that were oppressed, and they heard Malcolm speak and was like, we need to follow this brother. So he knew that he had his own kind of movement, and he knew maybe he outgrown the Nation of Islam. So maybe it's time to start my own section of things. But I'm going to give Muhammad Ali all the steps to what the Nation is, because the Nation has did a lot for Malcolm, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't feel like he was using him per se.
Right.
But who knows?
He saw an opportunity and he took it.
But as I'm sitting here thinking about it some more,
I'm not
you have to
really saying that in a
realize
bad way, though, like,
his transition to being Muslim is bigger than the Nation of Islam, because that's just something you belong to. But at the end of the day, transitioning to be a Muslim is a lifestyle. Practicing that religion is every day. So you would have to separate the two almost. So now that I think about it, Malcolm teaching him how to pray, teaching him, what it means to be Muslim, can be separate from the Nation of Islam, because he's given him the guidance to transition over
to the religion.
Just to that religion. And so now, as I'm thinking about it, it kind of makes sense as to why he did that, because he was just trying to give his friend another religion that he thought was fit for the black people. But I would say he kind of did use the name, the fame that came from Muhammad Ali, at the time Cassius, just to kind of push him in the spotlight to convince more people to follow him to his version that he thought was more accurate. Because in the movie, they talked about what was going on in the Nation of Islam. The drugs, the money, how I guess Elijah's house was huge.
How he had women coming in and out, cheating on his...
Yeah. And so with that being said, I think Malcolm was doing right by his friend, but he was also trying to teach him that being Muslim and practicing his religion can be carried over to what Malcolm was trying to create, which was more or closely to what is in the Quran, and him actually practicing that every day. Because we can admit, or I would say, as you said, like when Malcolm first came up, he was praising Elijah, putting him on a prophet level, and that's dangerous alone. And with that being said, it's kind of like Malcolm was trying to kind of go back on what he started off, because he was practicing wrong. But the way he went about it could have been better explained. He could have told his friend, but that also could have confused his friend.
Exactly.
He connected being a Muslim to the Nation of Islam.
Exactly. And that's a great point, because you saw Ali's reaction at first, like, are you serious? Like, you got me into this, and but you don't know that there's people in the nation that don't really like Malcolm at all. Like, you don't know that there might be people plotting to kill Malcolm in the nation. You don't know the stuff that's going on behind the scenes in the nation. So I want you to be in this religion. I'm your friend and I'm your this, but I don't want you to confuse the two. So I think that was a great point of what you said to the relationship between the nation, Muslim, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and all that intermingled into one. Because if you're in the midst of learning something, you might confuse something with the other,
Right.
And Malcolm kind of makes that disconnect between the two when he's explaining to him that he's leaving. He's like, he's like, I'm never gonna stop being Muslim.
Right.
But I'm just no longer going to be a part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Like he tries to let him know like you can still be a Muslim without being a part of this organization.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was a really important
Mm-hmm.
point for him to make.
Right.
But still, he low-key took an opportunity. But like,
Yeah,
it
it's
wasn't
not
a-
in
I
a
mean,
bad
like-
way. When you say that, it just
Yeah.
it seems kind of negative how you
yeah.
say that.
So he didn't
but-
use him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He saw an opportunity
Yeah.
arise because he says in the movie like, for those of you who watched it, like, Sam Cooke accused him in a way of like poaching Muhammad Ali in a way, and he's like, no, he came to me like
Right, to learn
he
about
was looking for this knowledge, and I just happened to be the one to teach him about this, and I guess he needed something, and Muhammad Ali needed something,
Right.
And he just said, might as well just put both of them together.
Right.
But at the same time,
Ooh.
do you feel like he would have told him that night if it wasn't for him and Jim Brown's conversation with just between them two? Because when they come back into the room and they're all talking, like you can see Jim Brown and Malcolm X kind of look at each other like, "Are you about to tell this man?"
Right.
Like he kind of told Jim Brown.
I don't
first.
think he would have told him because Malcolm. I feel like Malcolm has so much stuff going on in his head. I mean, this is based off true events,
Right.
and we know the FBI was watching. Like we know, so Malcolm's thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. Like I've been devoted to the Nation of Islam, and they're treating me like this right now.
Right.
Like that's one thing. I mean, the CIA, the FBI, they tapping my phones right now. Like they're watching me. Like they're following me. Like that's another thing. Like I don't think he had his plan all together because
Right.
Malcolm is a very calculated, intelligent, brilliant man. So anything, oh my god, so anything that he does, I think is like calculated to a T. You know, because he's so smart for that. I mean,
He
we're
wanted to
talking
be a
about-
lawyer.
See, I
His
mean,
doctor told him. I mean, not his doctor. His teacher told him, because you're black, you can never be a lawyer.
So you
Hard
already know
truth.
how Malcolm was. So I don't think at that point he was going to tell him, but I think he would have had that conversation later down the line with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, and plus it was one of his biggest nights. That would
Exactly.
be crazy. And he was supposed to transition that night
Exactly.
and come out.
Yeah.
And let the press know. But I also think, like, I don't know, in the autobiography of Malcolm X, he did kind of speak about trying to win back Elijah Muhammad's love almost and his position, because he was conflicted himself, because this person who he believed in so much, he realized isn't who he thought
They were the whole time.
Exactly. And then when he took his trip to Mecca and he realized, oh, racism in America is what caused white people in in Elijah Muhammad's eyes to be devils. But when he went to Mecca and he saw how everyone was treating each other like a real brotherhood, that's when he realized, oh, Elijah Muhammad's version was wrong. Fully.
They say like the racism that we experience here is like really specific to America. Like it's a whole different vibe. So like, I guess that experience of like traveling outside of the country, because you just said in the movie, like just getting that different perspective, like
the true.
I guess that like can really help you see like when you travel outside of your country, and it's like, okay, why are we respected more outside of the country than we are in our own country? And I guess that kind of makes you think like, okay, what's really going on in our country to where these white people here view us this way, but other white people outside of our country view us in this light.
Right.
Yep. I mean, it's time to segue though. There was another movie out
Yep.
with a fire as soundtrack. I mean,
Yeah.
this. Let me just talk about the soundtrack real quick. Let me just talk about the soundtrack real quick.
All right.
I was
Talk
trying to
about
look
it.
I was trying to look at the soundtrack at the end of the movie, but that trailer, I mean not the trailer, what is
The credits.
that credit scene was long, boy.
Man.
It was long.
For real.
They said, we got this story straight. And this is who we talked to. This is who helped. This is exactly how we figured out how everything happened. The
I watched
events.
like the deep dive into it after. Like they was like legit about it. They I can't remember what the main actor's name.
Daniel
Kaluuya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kaluuya.
Like
Get out.
he met up with Fred Hampton Jr. and his
Okay.
whole family, and they kind of
Wow.
taught him. They said they took him to the hood. He said, "What is the worst part of Chicago right now?" They
Yeah.
looked it up on his phone, and they took him to there. And I just happened to be in a
Damn.
neighborhood where 11 people were shot just the night before.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, "If you're gonna play my dad, basically, I need to make sure you are really about that."
Right.
And they took him to the city. And he didn't fold, and I guess He really played the mess out that role.
He
He played the mess.
He
Sorry,
was crazy.
man. The whole
Oh,
how he carried himself.
exactly.
He was the beginning when he gave that speech at the college, and his head was like, tilted. I was like, damn.
He really played it to the key. Even his son was like, he was on stage or whatever while they were shooting the movie.
Wow.
And like Kaluuya would like say a part, and the director would be like, "Oh no, you need to repeat this," because thinking like he messed up the line.
Yeah.
And then Fred Hampton Jr. would be in the back and like, "No, that's just the way he's supposed to say it. That's his Chicago accent starting to slip out. Like he's really playing the part so well."
And that's beautiful. That's exactly why we need more Black people telling Black stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is not just a product. It's our story. It's our history.
Mm-hmm.
People who look like us are invested in that. And they're going to make sure they get that right.
Yeah,
they're going to make sure they present stuff to their people.
Because otherwise you just get more white people playing Asian people and stuff like that. Like old girl from Avengers. Did she... Like, we got so many Asian actors. Why was that even? I don't understand that shit.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Great.
All right. Judas and the Black Messiah, directed by Shaka King, produced Ryan Coogler. There were some other.
Stingers up.
Oh yeah. That's all y'all bag right there. I like it. I mean,
shit, I paid that school a lot of money.
I did that since orientation.
Well, guess what? Stingers up on that note. Black Panther, and he just helped produce one of
Fruitvale Station. I mean, Ryan Coogler has did a lot of stuff, but this movie I feel like deserves all nominations, all awards, all everything.
Best new actor, even though he's not a new actor, but he needed. He went off.
But I want to go back into. I ask you guys this question, but I'll answer it first. What was you guys' first
impression?
No, not first impression of the movie. I want to kind of get off topic a little bit and just talk about the Black Panther Party.
Ooh.
What was you guys' first encounter, learning about them or anything? And I'm gonna say, I knew about the Black Panther Party. I didn't go in depth until y'all know that white lady that be going crazy, Tommy Lauren or something.
Oh yeah, on social media.
Beyonce, remember when Beyonce did the Super Bowl?
Yep.
And then she had a little tribute to the Black Panther Party.
Killed that shit. Nobody even knew. Went over they fucking heads.
Killed that shit.
Period. I was showing up.
That's the motherfucking time when she slipped and did the Millie Rock.
Oh yeah.
Made that shit so smooth, bruh.
Queen as fuck.
Made that shit so smooth.
No, Queen B. Okay.
Charlemagne went on to the Tommy Lauren show to argue, why would Beyonce do this? She was like, why would Beyonce do this? She's doing something like, I don't even remember what the shit was she was saying, but she was basically saying that the black some bullshit. Yeah, but she was saying how the Black Panther Party was terrorists and she's promoting this and she's doing that, and then Charlemagne was just like, bruh, the Black Panther Party did this. So that. I don't know how old we were at that time when Beyonce did the Super Bowl. We were in like high school, probably.
Yeah, we were in high school. It was like
it
was before Colin Kaepernick.
I just went into a foxhole looking at information about the Black Panther Party.
Wow.
So that's what really introduced me. So I had heard the story of Fred Hampton. I heard the story of this dude setting them up and everything, but like Wikipedia, you know, just looking at information and shit. Like I never went deep in because they don't teach us this in school. Like nobody really talks about these stories. They didn't even teach us Malcolm X. We had to learn about Malcolm X. So
we learned Martin Luther King. We heard Malcolm X was extremist. He got killed. Thank God Martin Luther King is the best. But even if you know the true history of Martin Luther King, they didn't fuck with him.
They didn't fuck with him at all. His approval rating when he died, they really hated that man. And now all of a sudden y'all want to act in 2021 that y'all loved Martin Luther King.
They want to Santa Claus him.
Oh yeah, that y'all. Oh, he's just
for him.
It's just because the racism has changed, bro. It's less in your face and more just like
make you question it, but you shouldn't question what you know, what you feel.
Yeah. But what were you guys' first? What were you guys' first experience learning about the Black Panther Party or anything?
So for me, the first time I really learned, I want to say in school, I did read during the Civil Rights. It was at Black Panther Party. Okay. But it didn't go into depth of like really what that movement was about. It was kind of just more like how they covered Malcolm X. It was just very brief. Like this party popped up and that's it. But it wasn't until college, I forget which class, we talked about COINTELPRO, which was the FBI, their entire program dedicated to not messing up, infiltrating the civil rights movement and going after black leaders. But then also I learned more at Sac State BSU, and the fact that the Black Panthers actually marched on our Capitol in Sacramento with their guns, and that's the reason why they don't allow, I think, people to carry weapons on the Capitol grounds anymore, because of that power that that's really scared the legislators. But with that being said, like, for me, I always loved the Black Panthers, just the look. I was like, God.
That's what I remember as a kid. I just remember the black jackets and the sunglasses and the beret, just like that.
Looking clean. I'm like, okay, with the afro, and then just how militant they looked, and just them carrying their guns, patrolling the police. But I also remember learning, I forget what class in college, I'm blanking, but what stood out besides the look was the fact that they were the ones who started feeding kids before school, like that breakfast program. I was so surprised. And I'm surprised that living in California, we don't know more about it. That's our history. Literally, being in California, that shit started. Well, I'm trying to think.
It started in Oakland. So, funny thing is, the house that my mom grew up in, my aunties, it was right down the street from where Huey Newton and all of them started the black. And one of my aunties always says my other auntie was the militant one, so she would always try to sneak out and try to go and hear what they were saying and stuff like that. So right in Oakland, right down the street from where my mama grew up, that's where they started. So every time they tell me that, I'm like, that's crazy, you know? Right. So yep, right in Oakland.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm not exactly sure when I was first introduced to the Black Panthers, but like I've always, like, since a kid, like, just known of it, like, just at least the name,
right?
And like as I got older, I've started to learn more about like their impact that they really had in the communities, like as you're saying, like really feeding the kids and like just like working with the parents for like get like the resources that they need for their kids, like the fact that they were really just outperforming the government, as in like providing for the community. And that's when I really just started to question, like, why are these people terrorists if they're just providing necessary resources to their community,
right?
Otherwise would not receive those resources.
That's crazy. But one thing I noticed, though, in America, when black people have guns, it's a threat. But when white people have guns, it's what? The
patriotic?
No, what amendment? Third amendment?
Second right to bear arms.
Okay, yeah, it's that amendment. They would sit there and defend. But when a black person has a weapon, I don't know, it sends chills down their fucking spine. It freaks them out.
Because they scared of karma. They're scared that the way they've treated everybody they're gonna be treated that same way.
Man.
But
and that's a crazy way to live.
History has shown anything, it's the complete opposite. Like,
we're compassionate and we're loving.
A little
quick side note, real quick. You said something that just triggered something in my mind.
Okay,
I know I'm gonna go on some crazy stuff right now.
Let's hear.
You was like, from a kid, Black Panther Party, you see maybe the logo or something like that. Like, I just feel like black people are born and like we just know certain songs and shit. We just know certain things, because I do not remember nothing about, like, but you know stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember when I first heard songs, but you know, love and happiness.
Yeah, God was like, necessary things you need to know.
Exactly,
right.
And he just put that, like, the TikToks when they put the water and like attributes. Yeah, they be like attributes.
Black culture.
Yeah, like we
just bit more of that.
It's just like it's embedded in our mind already before you know. So when you're growing up, like you know songs, you know this, you know that, like you know how you just supposed to function.
Right.
Like, I don't ever remember my parents playing some of the songs, and I just know them. Like, how do I know this? You know,
a change gonna come.
A change gonna come. Like, yeah. But that was my side note. But back to the movie.
Yeah. Go back. Woo! Judas.
What do y'all think about Lakeith Stanford's?
God damn it, Lakeith.
Why he?
God damn it.
Somebody said he played that role too good.
Too fucking good, bro.
I mean, he's a great actor. I'm biased.
But
I love Lakeith.
Yeah, go back. Go to. What did you guys think about his character and
how they
the
told
decision, and you know the beginning, and they said everybody's scared of police. When he
Oh
when he ran
yeah,
into
the
them,
badge.
he said everybody's scared of the badge.
Right.
You might
He
not
had
be
me in
scared
the
of a
first
gun.
half. He had me in the first half.
Right,
was
I
like,
thought he
okay.
really was FBI for a minute. I'm like, oh, you're undercover. Like, this is how it gets started. But when it started developing, like, he was a criminal. You feel me?
Yeah.
And he was taken, well, I guess you could say influenced by the FBI to infiltrate the community. I was like, damn. Well, Black Panther Party. I was like shocked.
Yeah, Lakeith really put me on a roller coaster because I'm like, ooh, this nigga FBI. Ooh, no, he just a criminal. Ooh, this nigga an informant now? Like, he basically was just an opportunist trying to figure out any way to avoid that jail time.
Right.
And, like, the way that I feel like they painted him in the beginning was like he had really nothing to lose, nothing to live for, like no ties to anybody.
Yeah, I would agree.
And even like in like the little clips for those who watch the movie, like they show like little clips of him like doing an interview and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like
Similar.
you get this idea from him is like he's really just out here by himself, like. So it was like easier for him in a way to make that decision, but it's like that's still fucked up. It's fucked up.
What do you
It
What do you guys think about him committing suicide right after that interview dropped?
Same day, right?
I think
Like
it was
same
like
day
a year
or
later when it
no,
dropped,
like
it was
same
like,
day, week later,
Yeah,
something
maybe
like
yeah.
that.
a
It
day
was
or two later, like.
like the
What do you
I
guys?
mean, that nigga showed absolutely no remorse. At the end of the movie, they're like, this is like an actual interview. This is not even like.
oh,
Lakeith
see,
just
I needed
acting
to
like
watch
him.
it.
They're like, what would you tell your son about your involvement in this era? And he was like, I would tell my son that I was part of the struggle. Like, he's like, instead of people just sitting around at their house basically not doing anything, I was really out there making a change. I'm like, yeah, but making a change for who? Like,
See,
But
I
do you-
get confused. I get conflicting messages because I think he didn't really understand his role fully. I don't know how to explain it. It seemed like first of all, let me go back to the quote. All scam folk ain't your kin folk. And I just think that even today, there's a lot of black people who we would say, oh, yeah, you black, you understand. But they don't see them. That's not their main priority. They don't put their race first. They put other things first. So for him, I think he was confused on what it really meant to be black, what his role was, what it could have been. And he was just influenced by that money, like money rooted all evil,
And
like
I
people
think-
like
yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
And that was the crazy part because I think in the beginning when he's being interrogated, the detective asks, how did you feel about Malcolm X being assassinated? How did you feel about Martin Luther King being assassinated? And his responses
I really
alone
don't. Yeah, he was like,
showed me he just wasn't with the shit.
And
He didn't
yeah.
understand the movement
He was like,
as a whole. And that means he didn't understand himself
yeah.
because, shit, I mean,
But
that's all I
as the
gotta
movie
say.
went on and he's really just involved with the organization, like, he's not really just on the sideline. Like, he's really in the trenches with them. Like, wouldn't that spark something? And you can kind of see throughout the movie, like, he's starting to get, like, he's starting to ask his FBI agent more questions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, at the same time, it's like, I feel like he, in a way, just kind of like, it was the word of the FBI versus the word of the Black Panther Party. And I feel like he just held the FBI agent at a higher standard because
Back to your
he's
quote.
like, they're the same as the KKK. They're both terrorist organizations. Like, look what they did. They're torturing informants, doing this, they're doing that. They're the same exact people. So you really need to help us kind of dismantle them. He's really implanting those lies in his head. So it's at the same time, it's like, if you're saying in the beginning, like, he really doesn't know who he is, and then at the same time, he's having an FBI agent tell him, like, this is who you need to be.
Right.
These people are the enemy. It's like, what do you really?
Yeah,
And
and
they're paying you?
I think
Still fucked up, though.
you
yeah,
guys,
that's almost 200,000.
You guys are saying you
Shit.
guys don't think he know truly what he did. I think he know exactly in 90 what he did when he had the time to then look back at what he did. Maybe at the moments he didn't really know or didn't really care or wasn't really. But the suicide, the interview, that stuff in the 90s really, I really think he had to take a step back. And he finally looked and been like, dang, this is what I did. He had to reflect back and say, this is what I did. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, that movie had me up all night thinking, like, this is craziness, you know?
See it through the film. He looked like he was going through it. Like,
Man.
Oh, yeah.
every other scene, that nigga was.
Man.
Out the car.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have this.
The dreams he was having too, the
Exactly.
Him
nightmares.
killing himself. He knew he was a snitch. I mean,
Yeah,
you a snitch, but like,
that's what I'm saying. He finally started to reflect, and this just goes. This is just another example of growing up, and you have this. Oh, I mean, our parents did us a favor because they don't want us to ruin everything. This world is horrible. This. So our parents gave us a great opportunity just to find stuff out for ourselves. But you take in so much pride. I'm in elementary school. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and I don't even know what I'm saying. And I'm studying because I loved history. So I'm studying these white figures, mainly in elementary school and middle school and in high school. Honestly, studying these white people, and I have a sense of I'm American. Like poke my chest out, like yay Abraham Lincoln, yay George Washington. Like this is such interesting shit. And then when you see all the stuff behind the picture that they paint for us, it's kind of like
a facade.
Damn.
It is, and it's like at 22, I see this world that is like. It's just this picture, and then somebody punches a hole in the middle of the canvas or something like that.
Dang.
And it's just like a ruined painting. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like America is. That's what I feel like the world is, because everything is so flawed, you know?
I mean, I can see what you're saying, because I think it is shocking when you have to realize that a lot of things that you learned wasn't true. And I would agree, because I was upset when you learned, because like Thomas Jefferson, shit, we learned a lot about him and how great he was. And you started
$2 bills. We're looking at I got this $2 bill and it has Thomas Jefferson on it. This is so cool. And then you start looking at stuff and it's just like
even with Abraham Lincoln, like the big thing about him is like people always talk about his wooden teeth, and it's like even that was a lie. Like his teeth, it was a wooden frame, but the actual teeth were the teeth of slaves. Like they would go take the teeth from the slaves and put them in his teeth, and it's like,
honest Abe.
If you lying about a nigga grill, like
what else you lying about?
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, but like when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about Lakeith's, William O'Neill, but also like his character, but also how that character has showed up throughout the Black struggle, where Black people were trying to unite and fight against the oppressors. And somebody who they thought they could trust, who would have benefited greatly from the revolt, betrayed them.
Yeah.
From slave revolts to the fucking, we already noticed in the civil rights movement, to today. Like the whole Trump shit with Lil Wayne, Ice Cube coming out to support him. It's kind of like, yo, as a people, when are we going to realize we need to put ourselves first? We have to unite and make sure we're on the same page, at least behind something, in order for all of us to be treated how we need to be treated, which is humans.
Yeah.
And get our rights. But
I mean, like, I still feel like that's just that mentality, like that U.S. mentality that you make it by yourself, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you make it happen by yourself. And I feel like he was really just, the entire movie, just looking out for himself. He had nothing. He was going to go to jail for 6 years. He's like, okay, just work for this nigga, and I'm still going to get paid.
And he got brought in deeper and darker. And
deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
that is true.
It's like, it was a slippery slope, honestly. Because even in the beginning, he was like, once Fred Hampton got arrested the first time, he was like, bro, what do you mean? This nigga's in jail.
Yeah.
What do you still need me for?
Right.
And it's like, they weren't just trying to take down Fred Hampton.
No.
They wanted the entire organization dismantled.
Entire movement.
And I feel like, as you were saying earlier, like, I feel like that really kind of started with that Rainbow Coalition. Like, when he really started getting
everybody
more whites on
Right.
the side.
The Puerto
When he pulled up to their little church service and it was like, y'all getting your asses beat just as much as us. Your guys' schools are just as bad as us.
Right.
Like, you need to be fighting alongside of us. Like, white people nowadays be like, this is like their police brutality argument. Like, white people get shot more than black people by the police. Okay, then nigga, why aren't you marching with us? Like, nobody should be getting
shot by the police.
Yeah, nobody should be getting
that was Trump. Well, white people are getting shot too.
Then they should be in the
so
streets
is
with
that
us.
is like, I don't get.
Yeah.
If that's your argument against police brutality, is that the police kill more of this race than the other, so that race can't be mad, is like, well, that's the problem right there. They shouldn't be killing anybody in the first place.
Right.
And I don't want to rush through this topic, so I feel like we should
Yeah.
like save this for next week. But
Oh.
this is, I think that goes into who identifies, like you said, one of you guys said it, like who identifies as black, and you said they don't put it as the number one priority. So when I had somebody come up to me and say, "Can black people be racist?" and I say the oppressed cannot be racist to the oppressor, and then they say, "How are we oppressed?" How does that education come? How does the unity come? So I feel like these are topics that we need to talk about later on.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree.
it's a lot of stuff in the black community that we have to fix on our own. We can't just depend on Biden, Trump,
Sorry.
Daddy.
Biden still ain't proved he
Yeah,
can do nothing.
Biden, Trump, Daddy Bush,
No.
Son Bush, Clinton,
Jebediah.
Right.
whoever. We can't depend on them.
At
We
least
gotta
one of them
depend
make
on.
it
We gotta
better.
depend on ourselves. So I feel
Build
like
up.
those are the conversations that we'll be having
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a later.
And with
date.
that being said, we hope you guys enjoy us next time. Why don't you guys go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because if you ain't noticed now, this is on YouTube. All right, I'll catch you later.
Peace.